On this week's show, we'll be discussing our gaming wraps for 2024, the best games that came out in 2024, and our favourite games that we've played in 2024, right here on this week's GamerGuild Podcast. Good game, everyone, and welcome back to the GamerGuild Podcast, your weekly show where we usually round up all the week's video game news and stories for your listening and viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/GamerGuildTV, and up there in the digital clouds on your podcast preference of choice. However, we're recording this a week in advance, as we do every year, and this is our end of the year special Game of the Year episode. And joining me is at Arcane Rogue, Mr. Chris.
Hello gamers, hope you have a wonderful Christmas and thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, Happy New Year to everyone as well, because this is the last one.
Year.
Last one of the year, last of 2024.
It is, and then we go on to next year, Richie, where we'll have been podcasting for 7 years.
In 7 years.
Because
years.
Across 7 years, because we always like to do that, play on the calendar, the yearly calendar. Well, we started this channel in 2019. We're heading into 2025, so technically 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 7 years. Congratulations.
We should probably maybe try and set ourselves a target for the year for the channel, actually, because this year, at the end of the year, we just pipped over that 2,000 subscribers, which since the death of Stadia and our channel getting launched into the abyss of the YouTube algorithm, it's been a long time from 1,500 to 2,000. I feel it took us longer, almost from 1,500 to 2,000, than it did to get to 1,500 to begin with.
It did, it really did.
So maybe we should, 3,000?
Yeah, why? I mean, it's early doors, it hasn't started yet, so why not?
And we are, since the last few months, we've actually started seeing some growth again in the channel, so it feels like we're finally clawing our way out of the abyss. And our content is actually starting to land in the feeds of people who actually want long-form gaming content that isn't aimed at children.
People who actually care, like you.
And you. And all of our amazing guild heroes who support the channel. And all the guys over in our Discord who support the channel by just hanging out, sharing their gaming stories, talking about their lives. It's a great place to hang out and talk to like-minded gamers. So not quite sure how to start this episode, so housekeeping. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that bell so you kept in the loop all amazing content at GamerGuildTV. We do have a weekly live stream where I'm not sure if we played anything last week, so we're recording this a week in advance, and quite often we'll take a break between recording this double bill podcast, which is the 22nd, and the New Year, but occasionally we do jump on. So
it's one of them, isn't it? We're playing games over Christmas inevitably. Yeah. So it's just kind of like, if the timing lines up right, if we're free and available, it's like we might do something.
We're not committing to content, but it might be there, and you guys will know because you're in the future and we're in the past. So
yeah. And again, our audience out there, they'll be spending time with their family and loved ones anyway, so it's like you can be doing better things than chilling out and listening to us. But unfortunately, a lot of people do work over Christmas still. They don't all get the luxury of getting off. And I think, as someone who worked retail for 8 odd years, I know you're paying everyone out there. So thank you for your hard work. All the key workers as well out there, still grafting away, don't get a break off, doing those pain-in-the-ass night shifts. This episode's for you.
Yeah, it is. And this episode's for everyone, because what I want throughout the entire episode is people in the comments, what is your favourite game that you've played this year? It doesn't have to come out this year, just what is your favourite game? In 2024, what's the game that you went, that's the one for me? Because we'll have an answer to that ourselves, actually, by the end of the episode. We do have a merch store. Chris, is any sales coming up?
That's a good question, actually. I'd imagine they'll do some kind of New Year deal. I can find out for everyone, though, for all those people out there going, ooh.
It's weird, we're not actually in charge of when our merch goes on sale. It's all done by Spreadshirt, and so we always tell you not to buy our stuff unless it's on sale.
You know what, Richard? It's a good shout that you've actually mentioned that. There is a promotional sale with 25% off everything starting New Year's Day, running from the 1st of January to the 6th. So actually, when you're listening to this episode, from this Wednesday through till next week, 25% off.
And you know what? You're a 30 or 40-something-year-old gamer whose parents and loved ones don't know what to get them, so they'll give you a bag of cash. Go get yourself a hoodie or a dog bandana. Whatever tickles your fancy. Get yourself a GamerGuild mug.
Yeah.
The GamerGuild mugs are good.
Sale, that.
I love mine. It's my daily driver at work. Gets me through the shift.
Yeah. And there might be some new merch for the new year as well. There might be some ClickerCast stuff on the way to tie in with the new series. So
I mean, we've already confirmed that we are going to do the ClickerCast Season 2, but we need to know when The Last of Us Season 2 is to actually confirm dates and get that locked in. But we've already started work on some back-end production stuff, but in advance, because why not?
And that's I know we've not really covered it officially, Richie, but if you're interested, I know I played through The Last of Us Part 1 leading up to the first series started. If you want to play through The Last of Us Part 2 in tandem with each other, that's something I'd be down for in the new year as well. Yeah. I know, rather than us bounce back and forth between Gears of War and Halo all the time, might be something a bit different for our audience. I know they were asking for something, so just throwing it out there into the wild now. No commitments, but it's a possibility.
It's entirely possible. We usually do have a what we've been playing section, but I think it's kind of hard to do that when you're recording a week in advance. So
I can fill it.
Yeah,
I can fill it. I've got something. So part of the 2024 in review, I think one of the things I've done in gaming this past year is, I think, looking at previous years, we had Stadia, then we both made the jump over to Xbox. We've now actually done over 2 years of Xbox ecosystem content now.
Rest in peace, X-Pass.
We're fully in it, yeah. RIP X-Pass. And one of the things I've done with gaming this year is I've kind of started to build up my retro collection. I don't know what started it, but I've always had kind of a decent foundation level. But then all of a sudden I've got this bug where it's like, if I maybe pick up like one retro game every month, just gradually, so you're talking like maybe 12 odd games a year for both PS1, PS2, and just start to like stack it up. And then I get peak curious because we cover the news every week. There's like something like last week when the Game Awards came out and a Akami sequel was announced. And my brain goes, never played Akami, apparently. And then you start hearing all these great things, like it's one of the most revered games of all time.
Yeah, it's like a 94 Metacritic or something.
Yeah, there's like 20 years in the making. Everyone's hyped. Now I'm sat there thinking, I've never even heard of this game. Quick look it up, and now I've got a copy of Akami in mint condition on PS2. So that's great for me. And I guess my news, like for this final week, is I've been adding to the collection. So I teased it a little bit on last week's episode, Richie, but I went out and I nabbed myself.
You've been waiting a week for this, unless you remember, which you got it early.
I have. I've nabbed myself an original PlayStation 2, but the reason I wanted this one is because it came with the box. So if you remember a few weeks ago, I got the original PlayStation box. So here's the PS2 one, with, of course, all the amazing PS2 games. Gran Turismo 2000. A lot of people forget that it was called 2000, then it was rebranded to A-Spec, I think.
All right. I didn't even know that.
For different markets. Star Wars Starfighter, one of the first games I got on PS2. Time Splitters, the original is on there. Wipeout Fusion, Ridge Racer, FIFA 2001 to go with this bad boy. But the reason I wanted it is I had the original PlayStation 2 and it broke, something to do with the disc tray. So then we got the silver edition, if you remember the silver edition.
I actually remember your silver edition. Was it the slim one?
Yeah.
Or was it the still fat one?
So no, we had the fat one and then the fat one broke as well. So we went back and it was under warranty, but we didn't have a receipt or something. But the way we convinced the people in Electronics Boutique, that's how long ago this was that because the silver one was only a limited edition run, we could prove to them that it was under a year old. Yeah. Because it only came out at like the March or something that year. So it was like, well, it can't be older than a year because it's only November or whatever it was. Yeah, because it physically wasn't out. So we managed to get around that and the guy did an exchange, but they pivoted to the slim version. So Electronics Boutique, to their credit in hindsight, they replaced a broken one with no receipt with a slim model for free.
And the guys who done that sale thought, you know what, I can pitch this to head office and go, look, I've just got our hands for the cost of a slim one, which is mass produced.
Yeah,
we've got a limited edition one here. Like, it needs a bit of work. Send it to the tech guys, get it fixed up, and we're selling it for double the price.
Yeah, I mean that's a CX move right there. Yeah. But yeah, so I have my slim. It's over in the back, and I used it for many years playing with like my brother and stuff when we'd have like retro nights, and it's great. But then obviously last year or earlier this year, I acquired the PlayStation 3 Fat, which has backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
So I don't need I don't need my PS1 and PS2 to be in active rotation because the PS3 does all of it.
Yeah, it's
nice
kind of
like the go-to
when you got backwards compatibility. So, I can still play my PS2 things, but it's less consoles attached to your TV, which means less wiring, less management of all that stuff, less HDMI ports.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same way to the PS5, like I don't have a need for my PS4 now because of the backwards compatibility with PS4 games. So I sold my PS4 Pro, which I'll probably regret in 20 years' time. But I do have the Days of Play limited edition anniversary one upstairs in the bedroom.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I've got a PS4 if I need it, but ultimately the PS5 does everything. So over time, when that nostalgia came around, I'm like, you know what? I love my Slim as much as the next person, but you can't quite beat the original Fat Boy.
No, you can't. I wish I still had mine, actually. But mine, similar to yours, I think it was the disc tray broke. But mine went through a bit of... That console was not designed to be portable. And when I was a teenager, my auntie actually had a caravan in the south of France. So we used to go on holiday every year. And from where we live in the north of England, you're looking about a 20-odd hour drive. So this is where my love of Pokemon and Zelda actually comes from, because I play my Game Boy. But I also would have a PS2 with a pop-up screen. So I'd be playing like Final Fantasy X on it.
Clip to the back.
Yeah, because I just never unclipped it. But I think the rumbling in the car and stuff, it just kept breaking it.
Yeah, I can imagine that back in them days. I think I remember distinctly playing Vice City.
Yeah, Vice City.
I think you know what? Back to our early conversation last week, you were probably playing Oblivion on your computer, and I was probably sat on the bed playing Vice City.
Probably, yeah.
On the portable PlayStation screen.
Yeah, probably on the PlayStation screen.
Yeah, probably. So I've got this. Love it. First thing I did when I picked it up was like turn the PlayStation logo to the vertical way. Yeah, it's still there. But yeah, it's great. And again, I boot up, it works fine. It's in great condition for like, 20-odd-year-old, is it now? I think so. Yeah. Whoever's had this has looked after it. And no surprise, because they had the original box as well.
It's probably been in the box for 15 years.
Quite possibly, which is great.
Talking about PS4s, I need to decide what to do with mine, because it's currently in a bag in that cupboard behind me. Because I've brought it from my house. Because with my setup in my house, I had all this. My PS5's literally on my desk next to me, on the shelf, on the kind of unit behind me. This is basically just a mimic of my old setup back at my house. But then I have my PS4 attached to my TV downstairs. And I would occasionally use it if I wanted to play a game on the couch to remote into my PS5. But now I've got this PS4, it's like I don't really know what to do with it, because my girlfriend's PS5 is attached to the main telly, and mine's in here.
So now you got that question: do you want the cash now, or will you regret it? Will you regret it in yesteryear?
I don't really want to part with it, to be honest. It's the PS4 is what got me back into console gaming. Because I skipped basically between N64 and PS4. I didn't really console game at all. So I was like, I don't really want to part with it, because there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. So I think I'm just going to keep it.
It still plays Blu-rays as well.
Yeah, but again, I don't have a TV I need to connect it to, so...
Maybe it's one you need to just make a shrine of some sort out of.
I do have an empty shelf up there. I haven't figured out what I want to go on there, so maybe the PS4 goes on there.
Make sure you secure it, because I want this episode where we're like halfway through a conversation and just something happens, the cat jumps up or something, and you're just unconscious, knocked out by a PS4.
Indeed,
he was killed by 2 teraflops.
Yeah, I'll figure out what I want to do with it. There's still stuff to do in this room anyway.
So now I'm kind of like at a point where it's like I've got every classic console that I want, all PlayStation history, more importantly boxed as well. So I also dug out from the loft the Fat Boy as well, 60 gigs. So it's the backwards compatible bad boy.
What you need to do is you need to sell some more of your Blu-rays on the shelf behind you, so you can have the consoles on there.
You know what? That's kind of the thing. The top row is the only one they'll fit on, and I was like, it's a thing. It's a problem I've got. I know it's a problem. My wife knows it's a problem. Certainly,
it's a more problem for your wife. You're like,
but it's
I can do something in it, and your wife says no.
Yeah. What do I do next? So classic collection. I have got kind of like an idea on mind for the channel where we kind of repurposed the Talking the PS intro into like a mini series of like my classic PlayStation collection. Because there's a lot of games I've got down here that I could easily like talk about for 10, 15 minutes, maybe. Just like the history of the game, my history with it, the quality of the state of the ones I've got still from youth.
Maybe,
and if there's any that people want to see added to the collection. Maybe. Like there's some kind of content there.
See, you've just given me an idea. Maybe what we should do is, instead of, because we just use like random YouTube library music for like the intro for all our live streams, but we have like Talking the PS. We've got a loop there. We've got the X-Pass loop is there. Maybe we just need a Nintendo one as well. And so whatever console we're playing on, we could use the theme music for. So we don't have to commission a Nintendo one, which I don't think that'd be hard. But
no, not at all.
An interesting idea. Let us know if you'd like that. Just for the intro music and stuff. Like
It's a new year, and we're open to doing stuff. So I've got ideas. Maybe it'll be members only. Who knows? I need time to get around to it, but I think I need to put this collection. I need to validate this collection somehow. It's like it's for the channel. It's for the audience. That's why I'm going back and buying 30-year-old games.
You're buying it because you want it, and now go. But that's why we have a channel, so you can share that love of gaming with our audience.
Exactly. And that's what this episode's all about, right?
Yeah, it's a celebration. This episode is our celebration of the gaming in 2024. And we were talking before, we're not just going to keep this to just games that came out in 2024. It's just anything that we have played in 2024 is eligible for discussion today. And we've got no real strict plan or anything, but what I think we should do, Chris, is could you introduce us to the
graciously gathered gamer gabbing gobstopper gift? The Game of the Year talk.
That'll do. There's no news, obviously.
Don't even know what I said.
Yeah, I have no idea either. You said you just go off the top of your head, so I just threw it to you and hope you had something.
The graciously gathered gamer gabbing gobstopper gift.
Yeah. That's AKA
Game of the Year.
Game of the Year. Hey.
Conversation. News.
So, where do you want to even start? Should we start with our wraps for the year? Because there might be a way of structuring the conversation a bit.
Very PlayStation centric, but I've got my list chronologically, I think, to the best of my abilities. To keep it like neutral to platform.
Okay, I've just got my.
But if you've mostly played on PlayStation anyway,
So should I? You know what? Should we rattle through the Xbox and Nintendo ones, because I think we both played predominantly on PlayStation this year.
Yeah, that's fair.
Did you play anything on Switch?
No, I think I maybe checked out a demo or two, but Nintendo has done nothing for me this year, unfortunately.
Okay, so I will start with my Switch. I played 12 games and 75 hours. Of them, 55 hours when Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. 18 were Switch Online, which is almost certainly just mainly Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
And that's it. Everything else is less than an hour. So, like, my monthly kind of cadence is nothing. October is 49 hours when I'm playing Echoes of Wisdom. Then nothing to the end of the year. We're talking literally like 3 and 4 hours here and there scattered throughout the year. So it's been a quiet year for Switch for me. But there again, there was no big Pokemon release coming into this year, which there usually isn't a big November release, which would probably carry on into the January. So the only game, and because it's been a year of with the Switch, almost waiting for Nintendo to finish putting the nails in the coffin, but instead they just kept bringing out content for the platform.
It's almost like we're waiting with bated breath for the new
Switch
console.
Yeah, the Super Switch. But
Do you want to know mine? So
go for it.
I kicked things off in January with Disney Dreamlight Valley portable
on the Switch. Nice.
Yeah. I played 4 games for a total of 12 hours. My most played games were Dreamlight Valley, Sonic Mania.
Nice.
And that's partially down probably my daughter messing around with it. A colouring book game, which is also my daughter. And that's it. That's literally it.
Fair enough.
And most of that was January. August, less than an hour. October, less than an hour. November, less than an hour. It just shows you that when it comes to games, Fall Guys was in there, made an appearance at some point. But yeah, that comes back to, again, I just don't think, like, with no Pokemon release, which is usually my go-to one, and then I'm not really into Zelda, I'm not really into like the Animal Crossing or so, a lot, and then anything third party I'm going to play on my PlayStation for trophies. So yeah,
for me it was a year of where Echoes of Wisdom was a surprise for me. What we weren't expecting it to come out this year. We hadn't even heard of it until a few months before it came out. It came like, oh, this game's awesome. It is in my Game of the Year thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But that is literally the only thing that brought my attention over to Switch. Oddly enough, I've seen my girlfriend bought the Tears of the Kingdom limited Switch OLED. Mm-hmm. So I've seen her play Switch more than I've played. But
that's how it goes.
It is. Shall we move then swiftly on to Xbox? Because I think the world's waiting for Switch 2. I think next year, if we get the announcement, Switch 2 could be a bigger year for Nintendo. But I don't think it's been a bad one, actually, for them.
No, I think it's just been ticking over. It is just a case of, I think, realistically, you're digging out an 8-year-old console. So saying I have nothing to play on it, it's like me digging out my PS4 and playing a game from 8 years ago. It's like they've not done enough current and modern for me. I think because we, again, covering it on the podcast and stuff, we try to stay very current. And I think part of the games industry is like being up with the latest and greatest. And there just is that reality where, they don't get much outside of their first party wheelhouse, and even that's been slow this year. So
well,
interesting one.
That's one of them. I think if you're interested in the Switch, wait till the Switch 2 announcements, and tons of them are going to end up on like Facebook Marketplace, on eBay. You pick up one an absolute bargain, probably with a huge bundle of games, and you're set for 10 years worth of gaming. It's an amazing console, which is why I'm so eager to see what's next.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I guarantee you, if the Switch 2 comes out next year, I get one with Mario Kart. There'll be more time spent in Mario Kart in 1 month than I spent all year on the old Switch. Yeah, what about Xbox for you then?
Xbox. So going into Xbox, my highlights for 2024. Do you know what my most played game is? Actually, you do, because I did tell you before we started recording. But I think people might be surprised by this. The most played game I have on Xbox, logging in at roughly 57 hours, which my numbers are always skewed because I have a nasty habit of leaving my consoles on while going off to do other stuff. Mm-hmm. Especially my PlayStation numbers are going to be so bad for that. Because I have a nasty habit of, because I've played so much on the Portal, instead of putting the console in rest mode, then switching off my Portal, I just switch off the Portal, and eventually my PlayStation goes into rest mode. So I'm adding up like probably half an hour here and there all over the place, like several times a day.
Mm-hmm.
But my most played game on Xbox has already made an appearance this podcast. Disney Dreamlight Valley.
Wow, you love it.
There was a moment actually back in, it was like largely April, May, June, where, because my girlfriend totally into it, she's got paid for both the DLCs. She's slowly chipping away at trying to get that platinum, which is insane because she's got like over 200 hours already.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous, that platinum.
Yeah.
It's more as one, like, but because we got in that habit when I first started like staying over regularly with her, where, like, you know, when you have like a lazy Sunday morning, we'll both just be playing Dreamlight Valley.
Yeah, it's a cozy game.
Well, that's it. She'd be on the TV, I'd be on my Kishi with my phone, and and it was kind of, that was it for a couple of months before me and her went to Rome. And when I came back, my interest fell off the cliff.
Yeah,
a bit at that point. But 57 hours apparently.
Oh, on one game. Wow,
on one game. Yeah. What's your top for Xbox?
My top game's Indiana Jones, number 1. No surprise, that was always going to be the biggest exclusive for me for the year. Over 20 hours in that game already, even though it only came out recently. Shortly followed by Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which is a surprise. I haven't played a Call of Duty in years, but again, the Black Ops 6 was so good this year. Both the zombies mode was fun, we played it on stream, the online co-op was fun, and the campaign was fantastic. So 20 hours in that as well. which was great. And then it trickles down into you and me playing Gears of War 2.
Yeah.
So going back to some of the classics. Halo Master Chief Collection. And then it kind of continues through. As you read it, it's basically all the first looks we've done. Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2 was in at number 6, which just shows you how short that game is, that we played Gears and Halo for longer than Senua's Saga. And then it trickles down into like Palworld, Fallout, when we went through our little Fallout phase when the series came out.
A lot of stuff where you've maybe played 2 to 3 hours on stream.
Yep, and then that goes back to, like, realistically, all the games Xbox have put out this year. There's not... It's a weird one with Xbox, because I always feel like you're ready to say, like, when's the next big thing? And I don't feel like this year, if you told me like what exclusives have they put out, outside of Indiana Jones, my brain struggles to really think.
Hellblade, but like, again, it was a very short moment.
Yeah. Well, I played it. Still Wakes the Deep's on there, Crash Bandicoot's on there, Age of Mythology's on there.
So,
but then nothing for. But then this goes back to like the time we spend. Is I said on last week's show, like I spent 130 plus hours in FIFA, but I'm always just going to default to PlayStation like that because that's where I prefer the controller.
Yeah, it makes sense. So for my other top 3. In at number 2 was Persona 3 Reload with 22 hours, but that game just didn't click for me. I felt like the story just didn't seem to get going in the first like 20 hours, and I just fizzled on it. I was enjoying the gameplay loop to an extent, but I was like, I needed that story to sink its teeth into me, and it is revered as one of the great Persona games. And if I give it another 10 hours, it might have got me. But I think other stuff was calling my attention, so that was kind of back in February when I played that. And to be honest, I forgot I had. Before looking at this wrap, I would have been convinced that was last year.
Yeah.
And in at number 3 is Star Wars Jedi Survivor, which I got 12 hours on. But this was back in May when I was kind of in this weird transitioning, because it's been a big year for me personally, in this kind of transitioning when I was kind of half living in one place and half living in another, and so I was playing Xbox either on my key sheet or occasionally when I was at mine, but I could never really get any momentum with the game going, because I might play for a few hours, then I'll be back in the place to sit down and play it again for another couple of days. And it does make an appearance on my PlayStation list though, because I did switch platform.
I remember you stopped starting, and then you went away. You had like 2 holidays or something.
It just,
dude. Because I knew you'd enjoy it.
I was enjoying it when I played, but there was just these gaps between playing. Is like it's this at that time with my Xbox being in a house where I usually wasn't. It made it difficult to kind of sink my teeth into a game, because I had full intentions of 100% in that game on Xbox. But then with when I bought the Portal, that meant playing it on PlayStation became a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant decision. My most played platform, the Portal, this year, by far.
The PlayStation Wrap gives you Portal details as well, doesn't it?
Does it?
It was a nice little add-on. Yeah, it tells you how many hours you've played on the Portal, how many sessions and stuff.
8 million.
What if only we had that time.
Anything else you want to shout out at Xbox?
I think just the ecosystem in general. I think as a consumer, Game Pass has been terrific for us this year. I've saved what I feel like is hundreds of pounds in games. I've played stuff day one that I wouldn't have otherwise played. We've played stuff on the channel with the community that we wouldn't have otherwise played. And it's allowed me to go back and try Call of Duty again, check out more indie games. And very much that thing we had with Stadia Pro, where I feel like we covered more games and tried more genres and stuff than we ever would have done. That legacy has kind of continued thanks to Game Pass.
Game Pass has 100% carried out Thursday evenings.
Yeah, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed everything I've played on Xbox. Again, it's not my preference, but that doesn't mean I've enjoyed it. I played a damn sight more than I did my Switch.
See, this is where I've played 30 games across the air on Xbox, but I've not completed any of them because it's most of them are for content reasons. So I've played a lot of different stuff for short periods of time.
Yeah.
Indeed. My busiest month was actually May. 165 achievements earned. And as always, Microsoft Flight Simulator does make it into my top 10, even though I've never played that game for a minute in my life. It's in at 15 this year, so my dad's been slacking.
I have to pull his finger out for 2025.
It's behind Fallout Shelter, who comes in at number 9. Because when the Fallout show came in, I briefly got back into Fallout Shelter. Probably for a couple of weeks.
On the console?
Apparently.
I was going to say, it didn't show up in mine, and I played it exclusively on mobile.
I think I might have played it on my console, But probably for not that many. Probably for not that many hours, considering it's sandwiched between Hellblade 2, which I played for a couple of hours one evening, and Gears of War. So it's Gears of War. What one took us maybe 5 hours to get through.
Six odd hours.
So I'm probably looking like 3 or 4 hours in Fallout Shelter.
Yeah.
But,
nice.
Shall we move on then to PlayStation, where this is where I think our list is going to get a bit more interesting, just for personal preference.
Absolutely. Do you just go through it? Because it's not in a list, it's kind of like you have to scroll through it.
First game?
My PlayStation wrap it's interesting when you look back at these things, you kind of have that little bit of nostalgia for I remember that moment in time. I started the year off finishing Sea of Stars, if you remember.
Oh, nice. What a game.
And as soon as I think of it, I picture like cold winter nights, sitting here behind me with the fire on, with the amazing like pixel music and the crew. And again, remember I'd never really dabbled in a JRPG to this depth. I got the platinum trophy in it, and it was like I remember starting the year off just being nice and cozy, fire on in the dark, Christmas lights still up, playing like such a great little RPG game, and I absolutely loved every minute of it. So yeah, Sea of Stars, what a way to start the year. Even though it didn't come out in 2024, it was a
2023 game. Yeah,
I started it, and I think I remember playing it leading up to Christmas. I think my daughter hadn't turned 1 yet, so I was still kind of figuring out fatherhood and sleep patterns and everything like that, and they're just being cozy on a nighttime, just me and a beautiful RPG, JRPG to play through. Was what a way to start the year.
An amazing soundtrack.
Beautiful.
I need to get my girlfriend to play it. I've been trying to get it to play the co-op mode, so I'll get to play it again with her.
Oh yeah, that's been added, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Then moving on to top games of 2024.
My first game.
Sorry, do you want to go back and forth?
Yeah, we'll go back and forth. My first was Final Fantasy 16. I was wrapping that up at the start of the year.
Yep.
January the 1st is when I played that. Hangover game.
Day?
Yeah.
Yeah, chill out, play it. My Sea of Stars was first for me as well.
Yeah.
So sit down and chill.
Can't complain about that. That's a good game to start the year off, Final Fantasy 16.
Absolutely. And that was leading up to Rebirth, wasn't it? Kind of getting yourself hyped for it.
Yeah, it was. I think actually I wasn't playing that on the run up to Rebirth. I think I was just hadn't quite finished. I was working on the platinum. I think I'd rolled credits at that point, but I hadn't got the platinum. So I was probably doing my my hard mode playthrough.
Yeah, that makes sense. Move on, top 5?
Yep, top 5.
Top 5. My number 1, we don't really need to spend any time talking about it, but no surprise, is FC24. 126 hours. Oof. So just, like I said, you get those little addictive moments where you jump into career mode and just, boom, I've played it more than anything else this year.
Mine's a list. This is a good list for my top 5.
What was your number 1?
Number 1 was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Clocked in at 113 hours.
Okay.
And
impressive.
I never got the platinum.
Are you going for it?
No.
You're out of that race.
I was over 100 hours in, and I still had a load of miscellaneous trophies to get and a full replay. And I was like, I loved that game, but I was ready to stop playing it.
Maybe one for the future when the last entry comes out.
Don't have it anymore. Because I was playing my girlfriend's copy and she sold it.
I'm sure it'll drop on PS Plus at some point between now and...
That was her thinking, is she didn't want the replay after watching me play through pretty much the entire game anyway. So sell it, and then it'll probably come on PlayStation Plus at some point. So she got her money back, basically.
I think I have 2 versions of Remake. We got the deluxe edition, and we got the other both on PS Plus. So it was there. My number 2, kind of a surprise hit for this year. If you're a fan of third-person action-adventure games, exploration, character, story, basically a PlayStation first-party game, look no further. Banishes Ghosts of New Eden.
Nice. I remember calling this.
85 hours.
I remember calling it going, this is the game that looks way better and no one seems to be talking about it.
Yeah.
I never end up playing it, but it was one of them that I think this game's going to do surprisingly well reviews, and it did.
Yeah. it's one of those games where it's so critically overlooked in a year of busy releases, but it pushes itself to AAA quality. The storytelling's great, the voice acting's fantastic, the exploration's fun. It's just that right type of thing where it's got that Assassin's Creed mix of history because you are going back to like 10 of the century America. It's got the cool kind of fighting mechanics, almost like a Shadow of Mordor style game as well. But for me, it was, again, I played it through myself and I also played it with my wife, and it was the decision making between, do you punish the people, do you banish them to hell, or do you let them ascend to heaven in each scenario, like morally conflicting scenarios.
Always hell.
As
Always
you go
hell.
through. Not necessarily, because remember, spoilers, not spoilers, it's in the trailer. If you banish them or you let them ascend, that impacts you bringing your loved one back. So there's like a moral compass you got to deal with. Like, do you punish innocent people to help bring your loved ones back to life? And again, sitting there and talking about, after each story rolled out, sitting with my wife and going, what do we do? Did they deserve it? Did they not deserve it? Did they were a cannibal, they ate another human being, but they were desperate because they were trying to survive. There's like loads of like, ooh, where do you stand on the moral code of things? But yeah, a quarter of my year's playtime was spent playing Banisher's Ghost of New Eden. Got the platinum, absolutely loved it, and I'm probably gutted that realistically it's probably never going to get a sequel, which is like, fuck.
You never know.
I hate it when that
happens.
happens.
It was Don't Nod, wasn't it? So they might, because I think their sales expectations are probably realistic, especially when it was outside their wheelhouse. So, and you never know, it might be one where if it drops to PlayStation Plus or comes to Game Pass, suddenly he's in the hands of a lot more people going, why did we overlook this? I feel it could be one of them sort of games where it becomes a bit of a cult classic over time.
Yeah, and we know they've got Lost Records Bloom and Rage, which was the Life is Strange competitor, coming out in the new year. Remember, they moved that date to get out of the way of Life is Strange, and then seemingly Life is Strange did nothing.
Yeah.
So maybe that could actually be a great year, but it's one of them things where like they're a smaller publisher, but the storytelling in Banishers is on par with Life is Strange, like quality. So it's almost like they evolved into this, like the next level of games. The gameplay was better, the combat was fun, and I feel like they're almost like hamstrung by that Life is Strange style because that's the studio's identity, where it's like actually branching out did wonders for you because Banishers was fantastic.
I feel like Banishers is an important game for them as a studio because it shows that they can step into different genres and different styles of game, but still take what made that studio great was their character writing. Yeah.
And to summarise that for me, is Banishers is the quintessential PlayStation exclusive game. If you like God of War, Last of Us, and shit like that type of game, Banishers has that throughout its DNA. And if this was a PlayStation exclusive, it had the marketing and the branding, it would be very differently received, I feel like.
Yeah.
For the exact same package, just with a different label on the box.
I feel
curious.
It's one of them games I would have loved to play if I just had more time in my life to play. So it's just one of them, you got to pick your battles, and unfortunately, despite me actually, I remember it was a podcast, it might have been with Rob or Tom.
You and Rob? Yeah.
Rob. When you were off and went, this feels like a game that is like better than people are giving it credit for. It's not getting the market and beats it deserves. And you came back and went, I've been playing it.
Yeah.
Like, you're right.
And
at number 2,
what was your number 2?
98 hours, which is where I stay. I feel like my numbers are very inflated on PlayStation because of my habit of leaving the console running. Jedi Survivor. It makes 2 of my top 3 lists.
Wow. Yeah, so, that just seemed inflated for Jedi Survivor. I think I had it wrapped in maybe 40 hours.
I think it was probably about, realistically, about maybe 60 hours for me.
Yeah.
To get through it. And I actually did everything, not just the platinum. There was a few like collectibles and stuff that you didn't need for the platinum. Yeah. I got them as well. So I was like, well, again, it's 100% done. And I loved it. It's so much better than Jedi Fallen Order. Jedi Fallen Order. Better. Yeah. Jedi Fallen Order I enjoyed, but I never fully fell in love with that game. Mm-hmm. There was like, I think it's when the narrative was gone, it was like, this is amazing. But I found sometimes the combat a bit janky, the camera was a bit crappy, the map was terrible, so exploration wasn't great. I think they fixed a lot of that in Jedi Survivor. And it did just feel like a better game.
What was great with Jedi Survivor as well is while the TV shows kind of come out at a cadence, and the movies have seemingly stalled for whatever reason. The exploration of different elements of the Star Wars universe that were explored in Survivor was like, this is some cool shit that I cannot believe they haven't touched on in the movies yet. Like, to do with like the High Republic and stuff was like, this is cool.
Yeah. And because he played as Cal Kestis, like, spoilers for Jedi Fallen Order, survived the Purge. And now he's out trying to, like, figure out how he can be a Jedi in the era of, like, the early Galactic Empire, before, like, Luke Skywalker and stuff. Him, like, exploring the history of the Jedi in these kind of little ways, but not going too deep. You almost feel like you're scratching the surface of what the High Republic was, and I think sometimes what even the Old Republic was. And I like that because it does make the universe feel huge and lived in and complex, which is what you want from Star Wars. So it's interesting, like, you go and you do meet some recurring characters, but it is nice to actually just see a different part of the universe.
Yeah, absolutely. And typically it has that sprinkled in element of like touch points for the movies where you see characters who are also in it, and it was like, okay, that was a cool nod. That was a nice little Easter egg that show up. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, especially the secret one at the end. Like you said, you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
But when you get to that, it's like, oh shit, that's epic.
But without going too far. It never seems to go too far.
That's right. Well, who was in terms of all the boss fights? Was it like
the Rancors?
No, like was it Dave the Mechanic or something like that?
Oh yeah, that was an amazing moment. He's just been through a long corridor, fighting your way through an Imperial base, and it just comes up with a boss fight saying like Dave the Mechanic or something like that, and then he's like, and they, oh crap, here we go. And it's just a joke, boss.
Rick the Door Technician.
Rick the Door Technician. Yeah.
That's it. Is. He's like, you won't get past me, Jedi. And it's like one hit kill, and you're like, sorry, Rick. You tried. You fought the Empire. You fought your best.
That was clearly a joke within the studio that they went, leave it in. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's so good, yeah. Moving on, keeping with the Star Wars trend, my number 3, with 73 hours, was Star Wars Outlaws.
Nice.
Again, game didn't review. I mean, it reviewed like mid, like what we expect from Ubisoft, 7s and 8s.
Yeah, it reviewed exactly. I think it reviewed perfectly for what that game actually is, from what I saw.
Yeah, and all I'd say from that one is kind of, I think it suffered a little bit to what we covered on last week's show about the woke agenda of, oh no, it's got a female protagonist whose hair isn't stunning and she's not wearing a dress and heels. Or I don't know what people are expecting.
She looks like a person.
Yeah, but that was the problem, wasn't it? And I think people, and then the Star Wars kind of fan base, along with the woke agenda, and they kind of got together and were like, oh, this game's Star Wars Outlaws. Not only is she not like a Jedi, so she's not even that special, she's just a normal person. And that was the problem. It's like, oh, we've got Rey in Star Wars. I don't like that. And then some of the shows that have came out, like Acolyte, oh no, it's got a female protagonist in that as well. It's like, why is Star Wars all about girls and this? And it's like almost, I feel like Outlaws suffered for that.
These people completely don't understand like Leia Organa, because even in A New Hope, like Luke, Han, get her out of cell, and then she takes over her own rescue and she starts bossing them around. They get off. Is it like they get out because of Leia? She immediately takes control. She's always been like a leader. So it's like, I find it weird when Star Wars fans have problems with like strong women in Star Wars. It's like, but Leia, like she's been since it was just called Star Wars has had strong female characters.
Yeah. Again, it's all lost on them. Yeah. But in terms of Outlaws, it's beautiful open world. It's different type of exploration than you get in Jedi Survivor, because again, you don't have powers, so you have to be more practical with like speeder bikes and transportation. But the world hopping from like the planets that you get access to, they're all beautifully realized. Like the font use of the text and the technology, the way they literally show you a Star Wars world, it's beautiful and stunning, and it's a lot more explorative than Jedi Survivor is, because it's Ubisoft and it kind of has to be because of the story. Love the fact that the story wasn't Jedi Force specific. It was to do with the different factions, the bounty hunters, picking up quests that kind of give you that back and forth between different factions. do you fuck over the huts to get one over on the pikes, and not being allowed in certain territories because you've got a kind of a wanted level in that area. Really good kind of GTA dynamic going with that one. The sidekick characters are all cool. Nick's your little companion.
Nick's is awesome.
Cute, just as cool as like BB-8. And yeah, 73 hours for me, and I haven't gone back for the DLC yet, the expansion, because I've just been busy playing other things. But underrated Star Wars game. I think, again, it's one of the things where it's a shame we probably won't see any more anytime soon from Ubisoft, but I enjoyed it.
With the Ubisoft tag, where it feels like it's a solid game, but maybe it could have been a bit more ambitious.
Yeah, could have been better.
Yeah. In that number 3, for me, is a game I've been trying to get round to for years. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. 75 hours.
Wow, that's a surprise one.
Got the platinum.
Was that the third?
Yeah.
Oh,
so I have now
so the final of the
finally completed the Tomb Raider remake trilogy. And I think I've played them all on different platforms as well. So I need to eventually go back and play like 1 and 2 on PlayStation to get them platinum trophies. But
good luck with 1.
Amazing game. Yeah, 1. It's got multiplayer stuff in it, isn't it?
Level 50 as well, not even just like quick multiplayer.
I'm glad the era of like
grind.
Shoehorn multiplayer into single player games is over. Like, but
it wasn't bad multiplayer; it was just unnecessary.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's like I didn't buy this game for that. Like, I'm not interested in the multiplayer. Loved it. Absolutely amazing game. Like, I knew it would be. Yeah.
It's just a shame that we don't get more, isn't it? Like, they're going through, like, somewhat reboot, reimagining of it now, and it's like, I would just take a 4th entry with this Lara. You don't need to change it up.
It's fallen foul of the gaming industry, I think, because 1, 2, and 3, all 3 of them are amazing games in their own right. Mm-hmm. But then Crystal got told they needed to do a games as a service game, Marvel's Avengers, which was crap for the most part. Decent single-player campaign, crap multiplayer. So that didn't work. Then it's been sold, and it's been sold again. It's like, God knows where this is. It's with the Embracer Group, and they've been an absolute mess over the last 2 years. So it's literally, where's the next Tomb Raider game coming from, and what the state is it in? It's just anyone's guess, which is a shame, because was this one Crystal? Shadow?
So the first 2 were Crystal, and then the third one was farmed out to Eidos Montreal.
But in collaboration with Crystal, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. There was like fully back and forth. And then Crystal went on to do Guardians of the Galaxy, which again was a phenomenal single-player action story game. And then now, all in Embracer doing God knows what. So
it's... I want to know what the next game is, but I'm now back. I should be really excited for it, but I'm skeptical now because of all the businessy stuff that's went on behind the scenes. And
if we get to a point where we get a trailer for it at some point, inevitably in the next 2 years or something, and if it's the same Lara we know and love from this series, and it's back in Crystal's hands, so it's back to the main people, would you just quite happily take another adventure with this Lara? Like, even if it came close to the last 3?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I'd take that without question. If that was like give me new locations, a couple of new side characters, another story with Lara becoming a Tomb Raider all over again with the same action and skill tree fun. I'm down for it, because all 3 of them games, like you said, are fantastic. I think it's one of the best gaming trilogies ever.
And as we go through the list, you'll see there's a kind of a theme starts of caring. Like, I think sometimes every game tries to, for a while, has been trying to push everything to be big open world. Collective fun, action RPGs. It's nice to go back to a single-player, relatively linear game. It has open elements to it, but Shadow of the Tomb Raider is largely linear in its storytelling. It's nice to go that in these sort of games. I think sometimes are more respectful of your time. They're not just putting stuff in there because they're making an open-world game, so they need to fill the world with something. Yeah. Everything in that game is designed to be there for the gameplay or for the story. There's no fluff content, really.
Yeah. And that's what we've seen this year. Hopefully a lot of people have learned from that. Yeah. And the games going forward, Sony especially, learned the hard way with Concord. It's like, actually, maybe stick to what your audience wants. And hopefully over the next 5 years, we're going to see the realisation of that come to fruition.
I do love an open world game.
Yeah.
But not every game needs to be open world, and sometimes it's nice to have That was the problem with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for me. It was too big. They had too many ideas. The game became too big. The open worlds were too big. So I was getting on close to 100 hours before I finished the story.
It's asking a lot, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It doesn't need to be that big.
Right. Well, moving on to my number 4 then. Not open world. For Freedom Democracy, Richie, Helldivers 2.
Nice.
53 hours spent saving the world from tyrannids and robots and everything else. And obviously it's going to go up now. Now the new content, free packs just dropped. The Killzone skins are out. Yeah, Helldivers 2, what's more to say about it? It's a fantastic game. If you're a Starship Troopers fan, if you're a fan, it's PvE. So just jump in with your Helldiver buddies. And again, the day this finally goes free on PlayStation Plus, Richie, and we get to jump in, you and me, with our audience and just kill some bugs and stuff. Can't wait for it. 53 hours. It's definitely up there with my game of the year. And yeah, I don't really. I think I've spoken about that much with Rob throughout like February, March, April. Like every single week was like, how good Helldivers. It's the absolute breakout hit of the year for lots of people. And yeah, should have been in the game of the year awards conversation. But
should have been.
Wasn't.
Get rid of Shadow Airtree, put Helldivers in there. Still doesn't win, but it should be in the conversation. It deserves.
Absolutely, it does,
and that's coming from someone who never played it.
I mean, yeah, just the cultural zeitgeist of like me and those around you talking about it is enough to know like how good of a game it is. Yeah. So yeah, 53 hours, number 4,
not bad. I'm going to lump my next 2 in together, and again, the hours are juiced because in at number 4, 75 hours, and number 5, 69 hours, is Uncharted: The Nathan Drake Collection. And Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection.
You went back for the Platinums, didn't you?
Oh yeah. Previously I only had the Platinum in Uncharted 2 and Lost Legacy. Mm-hmm. So I went back, I got the Platinum in 1. I played through the story of 2, I got the Platinum in 3. I got the Platinum in 4, and I played through Lost Legacy. All back to back, and that was awesome. That was a good time.
Yeah, I'm jealous just hearing you say it.
There's more jank in some of these games than I remember, actually.
They're old games.
Even like number 4, there's more jank and there's stuff that just didn't quite work. For some reason, they got rid of the grenade throwback in 4, which I can't remember. I didn't remember they didn't have that. And on the harder difficulty, sometimes it's just bad luck. Two grenades land either side of you. You're dead. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah,
there is some kind of bullshit in there that was frustrating, but I still love them games so much. Like,
it's that reality, mate. Uncharted 4, now we're heading into 2025, is nearly 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like, what? And then we're getting into Galactic from Naughty Dog. It's like, who is doing a new Uncharted game? Give me another character and just give me a game in that style. Like I think in the absence of Tomb Raider and the absence of Uncharted, it was like, the market is... Like, there's a gap there to get out some kind of crazy fun adventure game in third person with story and character.
Spoilers for 4, but Nate's now retired. And I think they should leave him retired, similar to Geralt.
Yeah.
Because they've already proven other characters can hold up this franchise. Chloe in Lost Legacy, amazing character. You could go back and do an old world Sully game. You could do
Give me another game with Chloe, because I thought she's a fantastic protagonist, but partner up with Cutter, or give me an adventure with Flynn from the second game, because they were partners at some point. Bring in other, like I said, Sully can still be there. They could do something with Sam. There's so much you can do. It's just like side, smaller stories.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a 50-hour AAA crazy experience, but just
more
of
Lost Legacy is perfect size for that style game, I think.
Yeah, and we should have had another one.
There's another character I think could take the mantle going forward, and again, really, really, really spoilers for the epilogue of Uncharted 4, but you've had 9 years to play it.
Mm-hmm.
Nate's daughter could take the mantle going forward.
Yep.
It feels like the end, that epilogue is kind of almost setting her up. And then this is where you can bring in other characters back as well. So
or even just Nate as the Sully character.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so much to do. So that was your 4 and 5?
Yeah. I just lumped them together because they both are actually collections, and it is multiple games that I played from each collection. So they basically all of the PlayStation Uncharted games, apart from the Vita and PSP ones.
Okie dokie. So that was our top 5. With the wrap up. Oh, did I not say it?
No.
Thought I did.
Helldivers was 4.
Sorry, it was Sea of Stars. That's why.
All right, okay.
So
We've already talked
I
about
didn't jump in it. Yeah. Just 51 hours for Sea of Stars.
Yeah.
So a lot. It's, again, JRPG. It's not a short game. You got to chip away for the grind. The wrap up does a calendar breakdown, but I don't think we need to go into what we were playing month to month. Doesn't really.
We can go through. Do you want to just go through month quickly, just with the titles? Because there's a few like random ones which I don't
name
think
out. Yeah. January, I was Sea of Stars. February was Helldivers. March was Ghosts of New Eden, Banishers. April was Evil West. If you remember, I got the platinum for that, which was the third person. You go through like a Western steampunk world and kill vampires. Better than Redfall, infinitely. Super fun. Had a great time with that one. That was like a triple A. May was FIFA. June was FIFA. You can kind of guess, I guess, in the summer, I got a football bug somewhere.
Yeah.
July was Sly Raccoon and the Thievis Raccoonus. And then it was August was Outlaws. September was Outlaws. October was Outlaws. In between like summer holidays and getting away, so it's probably less hours spent, but that was the main game over the summer. But I think I went away twice and you were away, and I don't think we did that much gaming over the summer.
No,
we almost like went out and enjoyed the good weather for what summer should be. November, Lego Horizon Adventures, and then December so far back to FIFA, and sandwiched in there somewhere we'll have Game of the Year conversation. But yeah, what about yours?
January, Final Fantasy 16. February, Assassin's Creed: The Ezio Collection. I replayed Assassin's Creed 2.
I remember that, yeah.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth came in March. That's between Final Fantasies. I just wanted something small to fill the time. And Ezio Collection was staring me in the face because I'd already booked to go to Rome.
Yeah.
Or we're planning to. So I was like, all right, what's that? Because I was planning, I'll start through Assassin's Creed 2, then I'll go through them all. And I just didn't.
And now you've been to Rome,
you
should go and play Indiana Jones.
I should.
Like I mentioned.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in March and April, which is no surprise for an over 100-hour game. EA Sports FC 24 jumps in that May, so I got the bug as well.
Yeah, something must have happened.
Yeah.
Maybe our team was on a good run and we were like, oh shit, football.
End of the season. South Park Stick of Truth in June.
Nice.
Uncharted Nathan Drake Collection comes in at July. Shadow of the Tomb
Was June when you got the Portal?
I don't know.
I feel like you checked South Park out on the Portal. I feel like I
think I did. Yeah, I think I was playing the Portal then. Yeah, Uncharted in July, Shadow of the Tomb Raider in August, Jedi Survivor September, October, and November. Again, I was playing other stuff, but apparently in October, monthly stats, gaming sessions 1, hours logged 1. I was playing Zelda.
Yeah, you were busy.
I took a pause to play Zelda, then went back to it in November. Yeah. And in December, Astrobot.
Hey.
He makes the list.
Makes the list. And we'll get into Astrobot in a short while. The next part of the wrap-up is hours played. So my hours played on particular devices, my total was 598 hours.
754.
Spent. That's a little bit more.
You see what I mean with my numbers being juiced a bit.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, I do have a 1-year-old, so I'm expecting your numbers as a grown man with no responsibilities outside of work.
I have responsibilities.
Outside of work?
Yeah.
Does anyone hold you to account? I know you've got a girlfriend now. But yeah, so I mean, I think last year was 515 for me. So I think actually there's been a bit more of a jump. But again, I'm finding my feet now. So
it's less sleep.
And less sleep. Yeah, just that's the answer. Less sleep. In particular, down to device though. PS5 was 598 hours played. That one. Play sessions 473. Games played 32. But interestingly enough, another statistic that they've added into the wrap, which I'm glad they've done, PlayStation Portal, 139 hours played.
Mine doesn't have that. Mine doesn't have Portal.
I wonder why.
Because what I've got for PlayStation 5 is 750. PlayStation 4 hours.
Huh. Mine doesn't have PS4.
Yeah, well, I played a bit of Assassin's Creed on my PS4. But my play sessions for PS5 was 470. This is what I mean by the juice numbers. Play sessions were quite similar. Hours different. It's huge.
I have to do mine in short bite-sized amounts, so you can just sit down for 6 hours on an afternoon and block it. If
you take them like 400 play sessions and just add an extra half an hour to each of them, there's pretty much the extra 200 hours difference between us.
That's fair.
And that's just me not turning off my console properly.
And moving on then, what was your trophy count?
So a total of 486.
Oh,
You're like 487, aren't you?
494.
Oh,
So just ahead.
how many platinums?
13.
9.
13. 69 gold.
69 silver. 29 gold. I feel
and then-
PlayStation be more stingy nowadays with gold trophies.
Yeah, they definitely are. My lifetime, there's a little box that says my lifetime trophy count is 9,193.
2,918.
Yeah.
Knocking on
And
the
then
door
my
3,000.
And my trophy level has increased. If you remember, they added that like incremental level basis. I've moved from 469 to 483, but I don't know what the hell that means
No,
in terms of my level.
I've increased 22 levels, but crucially, I've went from 290, which is bronze, to 312, which is silver.
Ah, nice. I'm in platinum tier, I think, but I don't know what. I don't know what the scale of this is.
I'm guessing every 100 levels.
Yeah, and then just like a trophy breakdown of like trophies and achievements you've got. Multiplayer hours played 22, shows how little we play online.
8
with friends.
I made two new friends.
Digital campaigns with PlayStation Stars, we don't think we really worry about.
Yeah.
But then there was a voucher to redeem for
What a
PlayStation Avatar.
What a
year. But then I guess in general, to bring it full circle towards our Game of the Year conversation, Richie. Obviously, we played across multiple platforms. We always do. I do want to give a shout out to the retro games I've played this year. So it didn't really count them because the retros are the shorter or they're offline. But we went back, I think, at the start of the year. I played God of War Ragnarok Valhalla. Remember, that was January. We got that free drop at the Game Awards for the Valhalla DLC of like the roguelike game in Ragnarok. Sea of Stars, we played Palworld on the channel.
We did.
Which was a whole thing at the time. Obviously, didn't really get in any Game of the Year conversation discussion, but it was a thing. We then got The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. So I went back and played The Last of Us Part 2 again. Quickly, even though I'm going to do it again this year. If you remember, I did Spec Ops The Line for the channel, the whole playthrough on PS3. Terrific game. If you've never played it before, go check it out. It's fantastic. Then Helldivers came out. Then we played Gears of War together. We finally got on the Gears of War train this year.
Did.
We promised our audience we would when we got our Xboxes. It took us over a year, but we got there. We really enjoyed it
as well.
Yeah, we'd play Gears of War 2 later on, and I think we've settled on Gears is actually more favourable to us than Halo.
Yeah, we both seem to prefer it.
Was the summary. We went and had our little Fallout kick where the series came out, and it was fantastic, and we all got like that Fallout bug to go and explore.
Yeah, did you play a bit of Fallout 4? Because I did.
4 and 76 and Shelter.
It didn't seem to make any lists, but I remember playing it, so I don't know why did I play it on PC. I might have played it. No, we played it on
Amazon Luna.
I would have played it PlayStation, but
yeah, but maybe not for as long as you thought.
Yeah, I've actually got the steelbook behind me. It's hiding behind Ellie.
Oh yeah, I can see the top of it. Then I did my kind of stint of all stuff. So Jack and Daxter, Precursor Legacy, got the platinum, really enjoyed it. Never played Jack and Daxter game before. Then I played Sly Raccoon, never played it, really enjoyed it, got the platinum. Then I did Daxter. So I did like 3 back-to-back classic platformers that, thanks to PlayStation Plus Premium, adding all games, but more importantly, adding trophy lists to it. It gave me like that extra incentive to go and check out an older title. And it made it more fun in a lot of ways. So that was nice. Star Wars Battlefront Classic came out. You and me played Skull and Bones.
We did.
Early access, if you remember that. That was a thing. We played Deadpool together. We never went back. We played Deadpool together when Deadpool and Wolverine came out.
Oh, yeah.
That was a moment. Then we had Senua's Saga, which came and went over a weekend. Gorgeous game, but didn't really push the franchise on that much. I then went and did a double retro game. I did Uncharted Golden Abyss with the play. Remember, I bought a PlayStation Vita TV just to play it on stream because it's virtually impossible to play with all its quirks and qualities of the touchscreen mechanics. Somehow managed to stumble my way through that. Then I did Warhammer 40k Space Marine on PS3 before the new one came out. So again, a lot of retro stuff I went back to.
Well, yeah, I played it. I finally finished Ocarina of Time this year.
Yeah.
It took me most of the year, but I got there. I still have 100%ed it, which maybe over Christmas I'll try and get something in, but I don't know. It depends on time. I would like to close that chapter off.
Yeah, get that done. Move on. Everyone's asking what's next. What's next?
Story is done. It's just been a busy year for me personally.
It has. Indiana Jones games, of course. They in the lead up to the Great Circle. I went back and checked out the PS2 Indiana Jones games, the Lego ones. Was really good leading into it. So they're still up on the channel for those who are curious. What else do we have? We had Alan Wake DLC came out, so I kind of finished the full story of Alan Wake, which is a nice throwback to my Game of the Year from last year. And then the kind of back end of the year, I guess we dove into Astrobot, Horizon, Lego Adventures, and Indiana Jones were the kind of big ones. So, yeah, Richie, I don't know where you want to go with our Game of the Year conversation for the end of this episode.
Well,
where you vibing with how you want to do this?
I'm not sure. So, I think we've got to cover out the favourite game we played each this year.
Yes.
Regardless of when it came out. Our favourite game that we played that came out this year, and then what we think is the best game of 2024. Because the best game might not be your favourite, and that's why I kind of want to almost differentiate them a bit.
Right.
So you could turn around and go, actually, the best game is this, but actually I much had more fun playing that. So let's start with, of all the games you've played in the last 12 months, what's your favourite?
Oh, I mean, if my favourite, am I just calling out my Game of the Year then? If I say my favourite,
oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
so I just go, this is my favourite. It's like, well, you've kind of got me hook, line, and sinker there.
Should we just do our channel Game of the Year then, and then we can talk about the other stuff after?
Yeah,
we are an hour in anyway. So
yeah, why? Yeah, this does need to go for the same duration. Yeah. Can we say at the same time?
Yeah.
Not 3, 2, 1.
Astrobot.
Astrobot. Ta-da! Yeah, I told you.
You're right.
Back in September, I was like, you will love this game, and I'm glad you got round to it before the year was out.
Yeah.
Just so it had that fair shake. But I think I've waxed lyrical about it since September onwards. Do you want to give your kind of summary of why is it so fantastic?
It's a video game, and it doesn't pretend to be anything other. It's not trying to tell a deep, complex narrative.
It's not woke.
It's not weighted down with political issues. It's just a video game that knows it's a video game. It knows it's a PlayStation game, and it leans into it hard, but still maintains so much charm. Like, you cannot have a smile on your face, apart from the final levels. That is bullshit. The secret levels can be a bit tricky, and there's one of the square levels where there's loads of lava and you have to use a duck to put it out. That level was bullshit as well. But for the majority of the time I was playing that game, you're just playing with a smile on your face, and it just gets you back to the joy of video games. Like, it's a puzzle platformer, it's a mascot platformer, and you know what? There's some of the special levels where, for the Uncharted level, when that Uncharted theme goes, yes, here we go.
And it's a great remix as well. Like, just hearing that theme again, I was like, oh, this is sick.
Yeah. And it changes up its mechanics as well to suit some the Uncharted level. Like, oh yeah, he's a gun for it, for shooting like plungers out. And then you got the God of War level where you get Kratos' axe. You get the bowcaster from Horizon. It just does have that little change up here and there. It's fine, you're now in. We're talking about
Did you notice that on the Uncharted one, the gun was actually the toy gun from his attic in the real game? Which is it's such a, the attention to detail as well. Yeah. It's not only just the nostalgia, it's these people cared passionately about the IP they were covering. And it's I know it probably has an inherent bias because of the nostalgia element to it, but there is something just fun about simple level mechanics.
That's part of the game, though.
Yeah. Here's your level. Get 5 bots or 5-star. It's essentially got that 5-star that mobile games benefit from. I didn't move on until I got all bots in each area.
Yeah,
that's how I systematically went through it. But yeah, just the music, the level design, the color, the whimsy, the fun. It wasn't difficult. It wasn't like Demon Souls levels of pain. It was if you messed up,
challenge at times.
It did. If you messed up, you knew where you messed up, and you jumped back in. You went, right, I know how to solve that. I know how to get past that bit. So it was you felt like you were learning and improving the whole way through the game until you get to that last challenge boss, and you're like, I haven't learned anything. But yeah, just overall, the whimsy, the character. Would you definitively say this places Astrobot in as the PlayStation 5 mascot for you?
Yes. 100%. I don't think anything else comes close. If you had to assign a mascot to the PlayStation, to Sony, to PlayStation, I think since Playroom, Astrobot had his pretty much my hat's in the ring. I think now they're going, yeah, I am the PlayStation mascot. And I think he is a perfect mascot for Sony as well, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And what they've done is, with him being able to, like, especially in, like, Astrobot, him being able to, like, take on the appearance of other PlayStation characters, cements it even further. Because now they have that platform with him to go, you know what, we're going to produce, he's a new IP. Look at Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. The next Astrobot could be riffing off that. We didn't really riff off The Last of Us much in Astrobot.
No, like, again, there's so much more room to explore.
Yeah.
Either in a sequel or DLC or something. Personally, I would like Astrobot to now it's done the big anniversary celebration, to almost get away from that and just do its own standalone. So start creating your own bosses maybe and your own like story, because like the boss fights in it, they're cool, but they're not really like the alien characters. Like it's forgettable. It doesn't really have a name.
It's kind of generic. It's just that
there's much more they can do with it, and I think because you've got the core element of Astro and the platforming nailed, the creativity on show, put that in towards like telling your own true story without the influx of nostalgia and other IP.
What you need is, you know how Crash Bandicoot has that core cast of like villainous characters that they've been slowly bringing in the games. They need to start working down that route to flesh out the IP a bit more. But yeah,
thinking of saying that actually, Astrobot Kart Racer,
it could work.
I mean, you've got all of the bots already done and designed. You just need to put some good kart mechanics in there, and I feel like use the same skin packs. I'll play an Astrobot Kart Racer with like a Drake and a Aloy and a Kratos skin.
And this is how they bring back things like PlayStation's Battle Royale, but via the Astrobot IP. So you're not like having like Kratos fight Crash Bandicoot. You're having a Kratos bot fighting a Crash Bandicoot bot.
Yep. Sounds good for me. But overall though, I don't know, like you said, just the sheer joy. It's hard one to summarise, but it's like, I think it's great for everyone of all ages. I love the fact that it basically embodies what you grew up with, which is going to be like classic platformers, the fun and the whimsy of it. It doesn't take itself seriously. As you said at the start, it's just a video game.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing about it. You get a score, you get a time, you do some jumping, you kill some bad guys, you do some meows, and you just absolutely destroy the game. And I'm hoping this is like the future generation. Like, we have friends whose like kids are like varying between 3 and 7 year old.
Yeah.
And they absolutely love Astro, just like I love Crash back in the day, and other people love Sonic the Hedgehog and Mario. It's in 20, 30 years' time, they're going to look back and be like, oh, I remember Astrobot. Oh, that guy's so cool. Like, I can't wait for the remaster of the original Astrobot game, and however good it might be. But we're at that point where it's going to hold up. So Astrobot is forever going to look gorgeous now. And like, you could go back to this in 5-10 years, find out they've done Christmas DLC, expansions,
they have done
more
Christmas
characters.
DLC. I've played it.
And more packs. Screw you. Yeah. And
thank you.
It's just like it's all there, and it's like, Astrobot for me is the ultimate game of the year, and it's not because it's the best graphically, or even though it's great,
it's beautiful.
It just, the whole package is just what video games should be about.
It runs incredibly well, but it is actually beautiful. It is probably one of the best looking games of the year. Like, it's not realistic, but it. Yeah, there's
win art direction as well at the Game Awards? I feel like it got like a category similar to that.
Didn't that go to Metaphor?
Either that or Metaphor. There might have been there was like an art one of some kind.
I think Astrobot looks significantly better than Metaphor.
Yeah, and I will say I played through the whole thing. Didn't have one bug at all as well. It was a complete game at launch, and then we got more, so it kind of wasn't complete.
And then you got more again because they did this.
More and more.
See. With the speedrun, because the speedrun DLC he's a list of levels designed to be speedrun. They could, and they brought in leaderboards and stuff for it. They could just expand that to all the levels.
Yeah, time trial. I mean, when I get my hands on it, I'm going to have to compare the time trials against your times to inevitably beat them. So
yeah, of course.
Then you won't have the game to get back at me. So
this is when I buy the game.
Forced to it. But yeah, so I think that's unequivocally our channel's game of the year.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of our audience out there thinking like, oh, as if it beat, for me anyway, Indiana Jones. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It came close, but it just couldn't beat Astro for like just the ease of like. There's a couple of things in Indiana Jones that I do have bugbears with. Like great story, fantastic. It's the best Indiana Jones thing since Last Crusade. I stand by that. But in terms of the game, there was things mechanically or that I would have liked them to explore more, and I think a sequel could do that. But in terms of Game of the Year, just Astrobot just did everything for me.
Yeah, for me, it was Echoes of Wisdom. Astrobot, it was like a hard decision to come down on Astrobot because I loved Echoes of Wisdom.
It was Zelda right up until last week, right?
It was, yeah. It was like, you know what? But when I was thinking about it, it's like, you know what? I think as much as I loved Echoes of Wisdom, I think I just had more fun playing Astrobot, and both them games leaning into just making a fun game more so than anything. So that's why I think Astrobot pipped it. But Echoes of Wisdom, like, I think was quite a risky game for Nintendo to do with the Zelda IP. To go, you know what, we're going to give you Zelda, but we're going to make most of the mechanics based around summoning items that you can just find in the world, and finding a way to make that fun and actually still feel like a Zelda game, but not feel like you're playing as Link.
Yeah,
it give like Zelda her own identity as the main protagonist, which amazing game. And like, again, a game I just 100% did everything, and there's no trophies. There's not like there's a platinum trophy. There.
Absolutely.
I'm waiting to get it. I want to go to my save and look at it and go, there's everything. The only thing I didn't do is the hero mode, which is the high difficulty mode, which you unlock after you finish the game. But I didn't really see any benefit to doing it. I wasn't looking to play the game with a higher challenge. Yeah, it's nice that it's there, but amazing game.
That's fair. And hopefully, I'm guessing it's now spun off a whole other franchise line. Like, we'll probably see another Zelda game in another 4 or 5 years, like in a similar vein.
I think
it's done so well and reviewed so well. Yeah,
they have proven that Zelda can carry her own franchise.
Yeah, and this is what Nintendo masters of, right? Is taking one IP, splitting it into 5-6 other genres or variations, and it still does amazingly well, and it looks great, and it reviews great, and it plays fun.
I mean, slight spoilers for the beginning of the game, but you actually start off the game playing as Link.
You just couldn't help himself, could they?
Yeah, but it's like literally the opening 10 minutes you're playing as Link, because Link is actually trying to rescue Zelda.
Yeah, it's in the trailer, isn't it?
Yeah, news, he manages, but then you play the rest of the game as Zelda because Link gets caught.
Yeah. Typical.
So it's like kind of the pulling the rug on from you, but it's that's one of them things where I really, really wish wasn't in the trailer, because that
would have been cool.
Imagine just like, oh, there's a new Zelda game coming out, great, and all the footage they put in the trailers from the first 5-10 minutes. And then you actually realise, oh no, I'm playing as Zelda, not as Link. Yeah. That would have been such a moment to have, hands-on, but it was spoiled in, the first trailer. I understand why, because they were trying to push this as, you are playing as Zelda in this game.
Yeah. But brilliant. And then, obviously, you've not finished Metaphor yet?
No.
Does it rank? Did it get close at all, or...?
I think it has the potential to, but I don't think it'll make it there. I'm really enjoying what I'm playing, but the story is quite a slow burn. But it is starting to pick up. I'm probably about 40 hours in, and it's starting to pick up. But I think the narrative is one of them. It's going to all the twists and turns throughout the narrative over the course of probably a 100-hour experience. Yeah. So I still feel too early to judge it. And it is a game that leans very heavy on its narrative. Mechanically, it's like Persona 5, quite similar to Persona 5. It is.
Yeah.
Let's take Persona 5, but instead of being this kind of pseudo high school stroke dungeon crawler, it's now we're going to lean into more high fantasy. And ironically, the monsters are actually humans, because none of the humans are actual humans. And there's different tribes and all this goes into a lot of discrimination of different tribes and stuff, and all everyone's kind of competing narratively to be the next king of this world. And so every major character's got the different motivations. Some of them you actually get friendly with, even though they're your competitors. Other than are quite nasty in some of their views. So it's quite interesting to see what it's exploring, all different themes. And but it's still quite early in the story to see how it plays out.
Yeah, that's great. It's what a year for video games.
I know, video games are cool, man.
So I guess to summarise it then, to summarise this episode as we've been talking, and we've been recording now for like 4 hours nearly in the studio to get these episodes out. Final, I guess, if Astrobot's both our number ones, then what's our top 5? How would you rank your top 5 video games for the year? What you've played doesn't need to necessarily be... Yeah.
1 is Astrobot. 2 is Zelda.
Ta-da.
Uncharted should be up there, but because I've played them all before, I almost don't really want to, because none of them are new for me this year. So I'm going to exclude them on that grounds. Mm-hmm. Jedi Survivor's in there. Shadow of the Tomb Raider's in there. Mm-hmm. I am leaning at Metaphor, probably currently at number 5.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if there's anything obvious that I've missed.
That's why I made a list, so I could look back.
Yeah, I should have done that. I think actually Dragon Age the Veilguard deserves a bit of a shout out, because I think it's been a bit overlooked. It's not the Dragon Age game I would have wanted them to. You know, I was saying sometimes games seem to be going heavy, more leaning into being more action RPGs rather than just being RPG. But the story in that game is actually really interesting. I've had a lot of fun watching my girlfriend play it.
I was going to say you didn't play it. Where's this came from?
Play it.
I was like, all right, okay.
It's not mechanically the game I would have wanted them to make.
Right.
But it deserves a shout out for the game. If you reviewed it as the game it is rather than the game I wish it was, it does a lot better. I don't think there's anything else. I didn't really get into Hellblade 2.
Yeah, it's not in mine.
Yeah,
either. I had fun with it, but it was such short-lived, and it didn't push it. It just felt like more Hellblade 1. That was my thing. So, to look at mine, I think I've got Astrobot number 1, then Helldivers 2. I think I'm going to go with, because Helldivers 2 was my game of the year for like the first half of the year, like easily. So I can't discount that with like recency bias.
I missed Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy needs to be in the list.
All right, add that into your list then.
So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I think I'm going to kick... So I'm going Astrobot, Zelda. I want Shadow in there. Final Fantasy and Metaphor.
Okay. That's a decent list. It's a decent top 5. Astrobot, Helldivers, Indiana Jones, I think in at number 3 for me. Yeah. Banishers Ghosts of New Eden in at number 4. And then 5, probably Star Wars Outlaws, I think sneaks in there with like looking at everything else I played, like I said, things like Senua's Saga and all the other older games I played, they were all great, but they weren't quite up there. Where I think Outlaws, I spent 75 hours in it, so I obviously enjoyed it, and I'm a big Star Wars fan, so I think I just enjoyed living in that world for what it is. So not so much the game, but just the universe they created within the game, which is an odd way of describing it. But yeah, honourable shout-outs to like The Plucky Squire, Black Ops 6, Lego Horizon Adventures, all fun, but I think those other 5 elevated it to, especially the top 4.
Mine's really hard, because I feel like I've got distinctive top 6 rather than a top 5.
No, I'll just add in your 6th one if you've got an extra.
Jedi
Again, we don't need to follow Jeff Keighley's rules here.
Yeah,
this is
my
our
top
own.
6. It would be, in no order, Astrobot, Zelda, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Jedi Survivor, Metaphor Fantasio, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Nice. I'm excluding games I've played previously, so things like Stick of Truth deserves a shout out. The Uncharted games deserve shout outs, but because these are games that were new to me this year, I'm omitting them.
That's what I've done. Yeah. Like, I could have easily went in with The Order 1886, phenomenal. The Last of Us Part 2, phenomenal. So many games. Age of Mythology Retold, fantastic. Horizon Zero Dawn remastered, fantastic.
Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, my literal favourite game of all time. I played this year.
So it would be a bit biased, Star Wars Battlefront Classic Edition, there's so much. But overall, though, 2024, great, quite a year for video games, it feels like, but still a great year all round. I've had a blast playing it. I've had a blast talking about it on the channel. I guess we want our audience, just let us know what you've been playing. Like, what in the comments below, what is your top 5 game of the year. Like, let us know your list. Show us the variation of genres you've all been playing out there. And yeah, I don't think there's anything left to say, Rich, other than Happy New Year, right?
I think there is one more thing we can quickly discuss. Ooh. The game you're looking forward to most next year.
Ooh.
Off the top of your head.
Ghosts of Yotai.
Yeah, same. Ghosts of Yotai.
Has to be.
We're not getting awards. We're not giving it an award for people wanting to play it, but it's...
Grand Theft Auto inevitably will be huge, and I'll love it, and I'll play it, and I'll be there day one.
I probably won't.
But for the genre type that I know is my favourite, come the end of the year, I'll get so much more satisfaction. Unless GTA does something so different than we're expecting. But I know what Ghosts of Yotai and GTA are as quantities, and I know the story and just the emotion and the art style of Yotai is going to put me back in that Zen phase in Japan where I'm going to feel like a badass samurai. I'm going to write some haikus. I'm going to chill in the spa, and I'm just going to enjoy that game thoroughly. Yeah. And I have no amiss that Sucker Punch is going to do wonders with that game. And then, you know what? There could be a couple of surprises that we don't know about yet.
True.
So, like, it's a stacked... Yeah, there's a lot from Xbox, which I'm looking forward to as well. South of Midnight being one. And then, just kind of seeing what they've got in the bag for the other. We don't know if Gears of War E-Day is lined up. But, and again, the biggest thing for us, I think, is looking forward to playing some other classics as well. I've played more retro games this year than I ever have. We'll no doubt get back at some point to Halo and the next Gears entries.
Yeah.
And anything else in between. So
one day we will play Hivebusters.
We will. But yeah, just keep it locked. Thank you, everyone who's followed us for this year, for 2024. And we're going to make 2025 even better. So yeah, I guess Happy New Year, Richie, to everyone out there. Happy gaming.
New Year to you listening at home or wherever you're listening to. Thank you for all your support for the last 12 months. We hope to be thanking you again next year.
Yeah, and don't forget that 25% merch offer is on from the 1st of January, New Year's Day, through till the 6th. So if you want to pick up some swag to kickstart your 2025,
we know you've got some spare Christmas money burning a hole in your wallet.
Oh, you're stocking, absolutely.
Or you're more likely, because you're adults listening to this, you've got a huge credit card bill to pay off.
Yeah, know that feeling. But yeah.
And you know, with that, Chris, my name's been Richie.
I've been Chris.
Happy New Year, everyone. We'll see you in 2025. Goodbye.
Bye.